Map is going to be Daybreak for this next game. And spawning in the top right position of that map is going to be our blue Terran player coming in for MVP. He just took out Nurchio on Cloud Kingdom. Guys, give it up for Bang! And spawning in the bottom left position as the red Terran player, as our next challenger for Team Acer in this this Acer's TeamStory Cup match. It is going to be none other than the man himself, MMA. So, a pretty good TvT matchup. I honestly haven't seen too much of Bang's TvT. But like I said, you know, most Koreans are able to basically play any style. I feel TvT on this map, though, a little bit more towards Wings of Liberty-ish-ness. It's very likely that we see some gas first play, and actually MMA immediately. As I say it, of course, is going to take his gas. Bang looks like he wants to open up with the barracks, but that's not to say that he won't immediately take a gas afterwards. This is not the kind of map that you'd go for, that 12 supply gas to get a fast Reaper. If this really just isn't a Reaper map in general, and I'm not surprised that Bang is continuing to mine away. He's actually not going to take the fast gas at all. So, Bang's going to be opening up gasless for now. Barracks is under construction for MMA. He is mining his gas now, though. So, basically, this build MMA is doing, as soon as his barracks is done, he can immediately get his factory. And now at 15 supply, we should see, yeah, there's that gas for Bang. So he's taking the economic gas is the best way to put it. And the way the economic gas play kind of works is you can get out Marines. It allows you to expand at a pretty early rate without being too vulnerable to something like a very fast Hellion timing, because you can have a lot of your own Hellions. You can defend against Hellbat drops with your own Hellions. At the very least, this is the most popular ways to see this style employed. You can use it for aggression in the mid game, or I guess the end of the early game, but typically speaking, it's more of a defensive build. Now, MMA has that factory on the way. He's going to build a Marine to continue to work on that wall, and Bang sees everything. Bang knows exactly what he needs to. With this build, you don't scout as a Terran player because you do want to keep all your SCVs there mining as much as possible so you can afford to get your buildings as soon as the prerequisites complete. So, the MMA is continuing to make Marines. So what this looks like it's going to be is a very fast starport. It's going to be a double Widow Mine drop. So 2 Widow Mines and 4 Marines is usually what Terran players will go for out of this setup. But actually he's going to take a second Gas Geyser. So this is where things get interesting. MMA looks like he wants to go for a Cloak Banshee or potentially a Hellbat drop. But with no reactor, this is most certainly going to be a very fast Banshee. There's nothing else that you would need the second gas for aside from Cloak. And you don't even need to get the second gas to actually get Cloak. So very interesting play here. Widow Mine is going to be on the way for MMA, which is slightly more interesting to me. But you can produce 2 Widow Mines off of a 1 gas setup when you do this build and be fine, which is interesting to me. We do have the Marine production going for Bang. He has that expansion on the way, so this is going to be the advantage he gets in his build order versus MMA. Wall is done. Medevac is on the way, as well as a Widow Mine, but MMA, he's going to have... Okay, there you go. He's going to get a quick reactor follow-up, so that's how he's going to spend his gas, which I do like. I do like getting the reactor as fast as possible. I'd like to see MMA actually get a tech lab after this Widow Mine is done, just so that he can quickly move into tanks and go for a follow-up push or an all-in. But he is going to bring this SCV down towards the natural. He will be expanding behind this. And I think this is a smart play to go for. You open really aggressively, and then you pretty much just double expand. Now, the starport's coming in for Bang. He has his command center completed. So, his orbital command is going to be starting the same time that the actual command center starts for MMA. And Bang just needs to make sure he doesn't take too much damage from this drop that's coming in. It is going to be that double Widow Mine for Marine drop. And he kind of got the gas for a faster transition, but like I said, you don't actually need it. He's floating 200 gas right now, so it's kind of interesting to see how this dynamic pans out. He's trying to run into the main. There's not too much to see there. He will be forced to just run around and retreat, not able to do anything there. So we see Bang holding off MMA's aggression quite handily, and yeah, this is what I expected, to go to the Cloak Banshee play. The Widow Mine drop into the Banshee. You know, I was curious if it was going to be one or the other. Turned out to be both. And MMA's going to drop a mine here. He wants to possibly trick Bang into thinking that there's going to be a mine. But there won't really be one. And Bang's going to move that SCV. He's like, oh, where is it? No, it's not here. Okay. Okay. And the Banshee that's coming out from MMA is a very interesting play because Bang has to recognize that if he wants to defend against the Widow Mines, he will need to have detection. So he might get a missile turret, or he might get something like a very fast Raven, which is going to make going for these Banshees very interesting. Widow Mine, though, does get some good damage off on Bang's units, and I do really like this. He's done quite a bit of damage. We can see MMA. He has the infrastructure ready to go into tanks off of 2 bases right now. Pretty much whenever he wants. He has the resources to do it, but will he? What is his plan? He's going to get a second Banshee. The first one is out. Cloak is coming pretty close to completing, but Bang's going to have a missile turret in that in that main base mineral line, so it won't be super open to attack. And I feel like a smart play is to get a missile turret in each mineral line in the event that you do get dropped with the mineral mines later on. Now, MMA's had this setup, but still no tanks on the way, which is very interesting. His drop is looking like it wants to run in towards that main base, though. Gonna drop the Marines. He does have a Widow Mine mixed in with this, but no, he's just gonna pull everything back, realizing there's no opportunity here to push in. The Banshee is prepared, but there's so many scans available for Bang. He's actually got 3 scans. There's no way that MMA can do any damage at all with the units that he has on the field. He's gonna come in. He's gonna take off 1 SCV, get a 3rd one. And that's it. The scans are here, so he can cloak and try to run away, but at the very least, or I guess at most, he's going to be able to force scans. That's it. Nothing too crazy, which doesn't necessarily pay off the incredibly large gas investment to go for this style with the 2 Banshees that he does have here. The first siege tank is on the way. Actually, excuse me, MMA does have a siege tank out. Second siege tank's actually getting supply blocked out, but MMA is going to add on engineering bay. I'd like to see him go to double E, but actually there is the second engineering bay in the natural expansion, so MMA, he's doing what he needs to do behind this. That's going into the 3 command center, playing this out, and just trying to recover from his early aggression, not doing anything at all. And we do see that this kind of works out in an interesting dynamic because Bang expands and has to defend. MMA gets on the aggressive side and then double expands. So MMA actually has 3 command centers already, and Bang is just now halfway done with his 3rd CC. So we can kind of see how MMA, despite not opening up with the fast expand, does actually have more tangible economy. And MMA is actually ahead on SCVs as far as SCV production goes. He did kill off 5 of them, but he's managed to secure more than 5 SCV leads just through sheer production, I guess. So nice on MMA. He does have the setup that he needs to kind of move into the rest of this. It looks like a scouting unit was taken out here. MMA not taking too much damage. He's a little bit supply block. Yes, and Deepo's about to finish. But Stim and Combat Shield are on the way. He's going to be going for bio. His Banshees don't have too much room to poke in. There's not really much going on here at all, actually. He's kind of stuck as far as that aggression goes. But we do have the drop now hitting into the main base of MMA. Bang is going to drop some Marines here behind the mineral line. I do like this. He's going to start shooting away at these SCVs. Of course, both players are actually going to be going for the bio, but Bang has a lot of Vikings here just waiting for medevacs, and I like that he comes in here, kills some SCVs off, and now that he's starting to lose units, he's going to lift up and just run around and basically just try to be as annoying as possible. He actually uses it to scout really quickly. He's like, okay, I want to see the infrastructure set up, and I think Bang actually knows everything that he needs to now. Yeah, he knows everything. In fact, he's going to scan his opponent's base, MMA that is, to make sure he knows what's going on, and MMA both kind of recognize that they're in the same boat, except MMA does have that 3rd command center landed already. He is going to be able to access the resources that are there a little bit faster, and that's actually very important to note because having access to those resources, if he has that SCV count lead, which he still does have, then that means he can split them off to mine there. He can really take advantage of the available saturation, because the more that he's saturated on his 2 bases, of course, the less efficiently he's mining. So it's actually very important. This medevac's going to try to boost over towards the main base of MMA. He's like, okay, well, I guess, yeah, I can drop these 2 Marines. There's not too much here. His stim pack is a bit of a minute off, but MMA's stim is about to finish. And this is actually a really nice timing for MMA. There are a good number of tanks here for Bang, but the problem is MMA has that stim. And in fact, I wonder if he has any upgrades. Yeah, the 1-1 is done for MMA. Bang, he only has +1 attack. He doesn't even have combat shield either, so if MMA wanted to push in, now would be a good time. But the problem is, of course, that his opponent also has siege tanks, so you can't just push in blindly with siege tanks versus siege tanks. It's a bit suicidal, if you catch my drift. And that drop actually flies around to the north end of the 3rd base. Still going to be deflected without too much difficulty by our Acer Terran player. And I like that MMA is just going for this contain right now, because Bang, if he wants to take a third base, he's going to become vulnerable. MMA already has the Banshee by the third base. I actually think we saw that Medevac might have tried to dive in again. It's still floating around the top area of the map. I like the Viking positioning of Bang being able to deter drops. MMA only has one Viking to deter the drops with, which is important to note, because in a later game situation, I think mass doom drops can pretty much instantly win you games. Banshee is here, though, pushing against this third, and the Marines just come up here, immediately kill that off. MMA losing a little bit. He tries to run that Banshee in, but oh my god, 2 missile turrets, 2 Vikings. You're not getting through that, and now MMA wants to push this third base. He wants to put the pressure on here. Bang saying, no, no thanks, dude. He's going to scan. As soon as he sees this army coming up here, he is going to try to move in on this position, and MMA needs to be careful because he does have the supply lead, but if he walks into one siege tank entrenched position that is controlled by Bang, this game is over, and he's going to continuously be scanning MMA's army. And Terran versus Terran, it's all about the positioning of your siege tanks. Right now, we have 6 here for MMA, 6 here for Bang. The Marine count total is going to be favoring MMA slightly, but oh, here he is. He's trying to get himself juxtaposed in this position. Immediately shuts on that fourth, and now he's going to move in. Marine versus Marine. The more here for Bang, and MMA, he throws away quite a little bit here, trying to make something happen. But alas, there's not too much space to get anything done, and he's doing everything that he can. So the MMA, he's going to lose a good number of Marines, but he's maxed out now. He's had that third base for so much longer. He was able to secure the earlier economy, and I think his worker count is still higher, yeah. So not by much, but that does count for something in the income tab. In MMA, we can see here, must have more active mules or something. Neither player actually has a fourth base set up. Neither player looks like they're going to be trying to get one, but Bang's moving in on MMA's position. Some great siege tank shots from our MVP Terran player. These medevacs are trying to spot for each other's siege tanks so they can see basically that vision radius. They can just get the tank shots off. But MMA, I mean, he's actually falling behind in upgrades a little bit. We have +2 tech about to finish up for Bang, so Bang's going to have a very temporary lead in that attack upgrades. MMA actually has his +2 armor already done. He's starting his +3. I feel like maybe he got a little bit angsty, forgot his +2 attack, but he's going to try to move in on this tank position, and MMA is just going to go for it. He's going balls deep into this tank line, and he is getting an amazing concave around this force. Bang is going to lose all of his tanks here. These Marines for MMA, a fantastic little bit of a spread. He moved the tanks in there right before the medevacs had vision. He utilized that Viking to great effect to shove those medevacs away that were spotting, and oh, Bang, he sees that MMA has loaded up all of his units into these medevacs. He's going to boost straight towards his opponent. He needs to be so careful. I don't know if it's worth going YOLO mode on this Doom Drop right now. There are so many tanks, these medevacs. MMA, what are you doing? This is a terrible way to play right now. You don't want to throw here. And these Marines for Bang are going to get a great concave. There's still some Marines on the high ground, but MMA might just have too much here. I feel like this was very ballsy and a bit unnecessary, but MMA was like, you know what? I just wanted to Doom Drop the crap out of you. GG, and Bang taps out. Our Acer Terran player is going to secure game number 3 here in the Acer TeamStory Cup. Man, what a ballsy play. That was so unnecessary. That Doom Drop was, that was unnecessary. But I don't have anything else to say about that. So, really great positional play by MMA, and he just had a very tiny lead from his aggressive gas first build all the way into the end stages where he was able to put that pressure on. So, that was a great play. So we'll have to see who is going to come out next. Let me update the scoreboard. Let's switch over to the score. And that's going to mean 2-1 for Acer right now. So, yeah, MMA giving himself a tiny lead for his team. We're going to have to see who comes out next, though, for MVP, guys. You're watching the Acer TeamStory Cup. I'm your English caster, Nathanias. Don't go anywhere. We're actually going to jump into this next game super fast. Yeah, so just stay tuned.